kwala Spotify ngoba wena uzo accounta amandla away 2 viva ANC ANC viva amandla ngiyanibona amaqabane manigqoka amasuti niyadayisa. Anyway, uJoslovo Sihlalo washo wathi the more they wear expensive suits, the more they lose their class consciousness. Amaqabane awafuna ukucula megqoke isuti. Ngibona uComrade uMusancike unobhala weTheku. Uvela athi nje umsuthu. Uyambona ukuthi mengathi ushaya umlegwala Sihlalo uzogcolisa isuti yakhe. Msuthu usiko lethu lelo. Ladies and gentlemen, allow us to commence this program yombutho wesizwe lapho sikhumbula khona not just a leader of the struggle but an icon of our revolution. Tambo was but an icon of our struggle. So when we celebrate his life, we celebrate the autonomy, we celebrate the movement, we celebrate the ANC, we celebrate the reflection of the unity of the ANC. Usihlalo ke we-ANC KwaZulu-Natal, ubaba uDuma, umuntu okahle ukuthula this lecture ngoba uhlale ekhuluma ngeunity. Baba uMthombeni, uma ungasathandi ukuthi unity, uma ungasathandi ukukhuluma ngokuhlangana kwe-ANC, ubovela ukhulume ngoTambo. There is no one in the history of the ANC who unified the movement more than Oliver Tambo. In fact, abadala kunathi oComrade uMbuso Kubheka will always told us of a Tambo, unxantathu kaTambo. Tambo wayehlala ethi organization inje unxantathu bese uyihlukanisa kathathu. Athi ngaphezulu kunama enemies e-ANC. Athi kumele silwisane nezitha ze-ANC. Athi emva kwalokho kunabantu abangasini necessary ama-enemies but who are detractors of the movement. Kodwa ama-detractors uTambo wayethi ungalwisani nawo. Njenge doba likafishi wayethi hlala wadoba. Kodwa isiqubulo sikaTambo wayethi attack the enemy, the detractors, and unify the people's camp. uTambo wayethi abantu bombutho abayunifywe bonke. Siko kokwami ukukhuluma ngoTambo ngoba kunabantu abadala namhlanje, kodwa ngoba Sihlalo njengoba uhlala usikhumbuza lo mbutho wakhelwa futhi wavunyelwa osikwenkolweni lokukholwa. Ngizocela iband ize ngaphambili sivule lesikolo sanamhlanje ngoba sikwisikolo esikwifashion namhlanje. Isikolo nje sisestyleni mangathiwa uboleka ilanguage yosizo abasasebancane kunathi. Thina sibadala sithi isikolo osizo bangathi galadina basho wonke lamagama ezilungu esingawazi. Ngicela iband bese iyasihola wing national anthem ukuze sizovula lo mhlangano nge-national anthem bese umfundisi omkhulu asondele ngaphambili ngoba emva kwakhe sizobe sesinikeza bona lo mhlangano.
Nkosi sikeleli Afrika maluphakanyisu phondo lwayo izwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela lusapho lwayo murena buluke sitshaba sa Yesu ufedise ditswali matswele usibuluke sitshaba sa Yesu sitshaba sa South Africa, South Africa. A deep low found Sayema, a deep found Oh, rebetes van die Franse fiel. Songs of God to come together and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa. Our land.
Siyabonga. Angeke suvule kahle lo mcimbi singabizanga uChamplain weprovince ukuze asondeze enkosini. Ukusondeza sicela abeza ke ngaphambili ukuze azosondeza enkosini. Angazi noma ubesekhona na. Okay. Ake sicele ubaba umfundisi uDube ukuba eze ngaphambili asondeze enkosini. Siyakhuleka.
Siyabonga Nkosi Jesu ukulondolozwa kamnandi ukuhlala kuwe kumnandi kunokuphila okuphakade.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Masingaqhubeka nale ndumiso kuzophakama isithunywa kuthina abantu abanesithunywa. Sizwakala sesibholofida la. Let me take this opportunity and greet you all egameni lenkosi yethu Jesu Kristu. Amen. There is only one verse engizolifunda eli very relevant Mthombeni. Uma ngabe sizokhumbula inceku yenkosi, the man of God, Oliver Tambo. Should we make a mistake and do not remember our forebearers and the people who made the struggle to be alive, we are going to diminish njengamazolo and will never rise again. Khona lesi sizwe ke ekuhlale ekukhunywa ngaso njalo eBhayibhelini. Nokho ke uMthombeni uzo understand ukuthi lo Israel esikhuluma ngawo lapha eBhayibhelini akona lo Israel esobonayo noma ophila namhlanje, kodwa ke idebate yangelinye ilanga ukuze si understand lo mthandazo wethu wanamhlanje. Lithi iBhayibheli encwadini kaExodus laba abantwana baka Israel sebefuduka, bafuduka ngalezizathu Mthombeni. Then a new king who did not know Joseph came to power in Egypt. It is very dangerous for people who do not know the origins and the foundations of why Joseph was there. Because immediately when they came and forgot ukuthi uJoseph wayebani, then the children of Israel were oppressed. As the African National Congress, should we forget who our fathers and mothers are in the struggle, some people will come and oppress us again. So that is why today we look at this day as a great revival of the ANC, particularly when we have come together tonight. It's like we have come to say, we are licking our wounds. We are still here. We are together. We know our Joseph, and we are going to move on. Any people who are going to come by the way and forget to teach us who the right Josephs are in the organization will lead us astray. Now the Bible says, as soon as these people forgot ukuthi Joseph wayengubani, bacindezelwe. I pray this evening ukuthi singawakhohlwa amaqhawethu. If we forget Oliver Tambo, we will be oppressed. If we forget uNyamazane, we will be oppressed. Uma sizobakhohlwa abantu abafana nobaba umfundisi uMgojo, we will be oppressed. Uma sizobakhohlwa obaba Magabane, we will be oppressed. Uma sizobakhohlwa Charlotte Maxeke, we will be oppressed. As soon as a new generation come who do not know where we come from, we are going to lead ourselves. Siyoziyela thina ekucindezelweni. We pray this evening that God Almighty and God of our forefathers, God of our ancestors, will remember us again. We will rise like a phoenix. ANC will rise. Others have been clapping their hands saying, we are gone. But let me tell you, history will never write us off. We were there now, we are there tomorrow, we'll be there in the future. Viva ANC, viva. Shall we bow our heads in prayer? You are God of Oliver Tambo. You are God of Moses Kotane. You are God of Charlotte Maxeke. UNkulunkulu wesizukulwana sethu. Wakwazi ukusibeka uNkulunkulu la sikhona namhlanje. Obaba omkhulu bethu nobaba bethu bawela imifula nemifudlana beyolwela lenkululeko. Aliba khona ilanga esiyokhohlwa ngalo ukuthi sizalwa isibeletho sika Khongolose. Bangakhohlwa abanye, but we will stand and hold upon this legacy. Even today, we look at this day as a great revival in the African National Congress. Siyabonga uNkulunkulu engcwele ukuthi bekubuye ngathi sikhohlakele kodwa sazi ukuthi wena uNkulunkulu awusikhohliwe. We stand in this place ukuzoconfirma nokuaffirma ukuthi ukhongolose uyaphila. We thank you Father. Siyabonga kakhulu uNkulunkulu uthi ukhona kule ndawo. Abaholi bethu abakhona umthombeni nalo lonke ithimba lePEC. Abaholi bonke abakhona isandla sakho somusa sibe phezukwabo njengaloku ngelinye ilanga isandla saba kuphezulu kwaHezekiel amathambo aseyaphila. Sikunikeza udumo namanje in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Ngiyaxolisa ukukhuluma ngamathambo bengashi pirates angona uhlelo lwakho umthombeni. God bless you.
Siyabonga mfundisi futhi siyabonga ukuthi uyiclarify kahle lento. Ngoba masikhuluma ngeANC sikhuluma ngenhlangano enama principle. Amongst other principle, the very first principle Babu Dube ANC was unity. The first principle here revolution is love. The slogan uLenin agitator ngasho Russian revolution was bread, peace and land. So ANC ihlangene nalento love and peace. Singayi distort. Singabantu bokuthula noxolo. Hayi phela ukakuphikisa imawuthi ANC ayinako ukuthula noxolo. Mina ngikutshela a narration. Ngaphandle kokuchitha isikhathi sisacela ukubiza uSokhaya, the acting chairperson of the ANC eThekwini region, ubaba uMphemba, ukuba sitshele ukuthi samkelekile noma samkelekile enekhaya ngaphambi kokuba sikhulume ngokuthula noxolo. Bavukile abafana basephefeni.
Amanda. Viva ANC, viva. Viva ACCP, viva. Viva Kosatu, viva. Viva Sanko, viva. Jigijela mkhonto wesizwe, jigijela. Ro, young lion, ro. Watinta abafazi. Bite, young lion, bite. Malibongwe. Igama lamakhosikazi. Sibonge somlomo Comrade Mafika. Sibingelele leadership ye National Executive Committee ekanye nathi namhlanje. Provincial leadership yakwaZulu Natal eholo umthombeni. Abaholi be alliance Sanko iholo wa umongameli ACCP Kosatu Regional Executive Committee ye African National Congress elidwa umsuthu ama-leagues African National Congress wonke abaholi mazo abaholi bakahulumeni abakanye nathi. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, all protocol observe. Sanbonan. We welcome you today to Oliver Tambo, Regional Tambo Memorial Lecture, which will be addressed by the chairperson. We welcome you to the region, on our beloved region, Kasotobe, Nomatingwan. On behalf of the Regional Executive Committee, It is an honor for us to welcome you all with these few words. Today is an important day in our life of our liberation movement. We are gathered an opportunity to reflect on the life of one of our significant leaders who at the time, on difficult time, provide kind of leadership that we called by the moment in which Tambo led. President Tambo was a visionary leader who was not only understanding the task at hand, but also have an ability to foresee the future challenges of our movement, which we'll face in the years to come. It was during the time of 1991 when the National Conference, in which he credited of having said in the conference, we did not tear ourselves apart because of a lack of progress at time. We were always ready to accept our mistakes and correct them. Above all, we succeeded to foster and defend the unity of the ANC and the unity of the people in general. Even in the bleak moment, we were never in doubt regarding the winning of freedom. We have never been in doubt that the people cause shall triumph. Today, the African National Congress is faced with a similar challenge in which some among other social commentators have written it off. They have gone as far as proclaiming that the electoral defeat that we suffer in May this year was the final nail of resting the coffin of the movement. They have started talking about the South African, which the ANC hegemonic ideas does not exist, just like it did in the exile. The moment today call upon us never to give up and never to doubt the ability of the National Democratic Revolution, and that at the end, the people cause shall triumph. Comrade Jefferson, we are delighted that you come to us today in few days after the conclusion of a historic regional alliance summit, whose resolution and the proclamation created a strong foundation for the rebuilding of our movement. We have taken a time to create a platform among the alliance partners to discuss very complex issues in the revolution, and we did so to inspire by the word of President Tambo, who said the following, speaking at the 2002 Alliance Summit: we meet as revolutionaries who seek revolutionary change in our country and the continent. It required, among other things, that think independently, that we study and understand many challenges we face, and we discuss these issues among ourselves very openly and frankly. We today commit ourselves to study and understand the challenges that is currently facing our movement in order to find solution. In this regard, the summit submitted to all alliance partners in the rigorous program of political education that the branches to be in the center with the aim of improving the level of consciousness and the commitment to the national democratic revolution. We do have an understanding very well that some of the challenges that the movement have faced have their members and to some extent supporters of the ANC. The use of social media among comrades to address internal organizational matters wise is a sign of ill discipline, but it may also sign a lack of correct created platform for the comrades to share their views about many issues that engulf our movement. Post to the ANC members from out internal issues on social media. Matters of our comrade. Program director, our people are faced with real bread butter issues. And when they see us investing such time on energies of fighting one another, they get an impression that we care little about the daily challenges, but rather prioritizing in internal squabbles. And this we have to agree to stop with an immediate effect. Gone after the days where comrades would share gossip. Instead, they are now to share educational opportunities for the youth in order for them to get necessary skill to become active labor participants. They will share business opportunities to encourage a particular youth to be involved themselves in the entrepreneurial activities with the aim to create work for themselves and their peers. We therefore call upon the government and all levels to ensure that these small and medium enterprises are not only protected, but also supported as well. Makabane, we need to commit ourselves in the branches to rolling out the Congress program that will see us making regular contact with our people they need to get with the responses and to create our programs that will respond to their issues outside the effort of government led by the ANC in council. Gone are those days where comrades only doing door-to-door around election times alone. They must do it now. Our community will feel us and inspired by Comrade Oliver Tambo. We remain close to the people. In closing, as I welcome you, I wish to highlight the role played by Oliver Tambo. The program of action that was adopted by the ANC up to the technical challenge that we made to the struggling of political liberation of our people. Today we have a task at hand to relate total economic emancipation of our people, which to us is not about rather the next generation of our people. To us as the African National Congress, is heritage. For some of the prevent to fight the existence and to be in the position to leave it to the future generation. With these few words, I welcome you all to the region. Siyanmukela Makabane. Siyabonga kakhulu ukuba iphathi yomkhabulo. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga sihlalo osalingisa we-ANC eThekwini. Ngikhuluma isiZulu ke sihlalo. Usamukele kahle wasikhumbuza imfundiso zika Tambo. Ngaphandle kokuchitha isikhathi asicela unobhala we-ANC eThekwini for about less than 3 minutes. Ngibonile ukuthi usihlala zange emkalela isikhathi. Wacishwa sinikile kuJaka Tambo. Wangena kuba issue. So nobhala for less than 3 minutes, please introduce people who are there. Tambo situngu general ngokusikhomanda emasweni nasekhaya. Tambo siwuthu general wawusikhomanda emasweni nasekhaya. washiya abazali kwaku-69 wayofuna izinkambi zokuqeqeshwa ngithi uTambo simaze ugeneral ngokusikhomanda emazweni nasekhaya. Tambo sithi ugeneral wawusikhomanda emazweni nasekhaya. Washuka ekhaya kwaku-61 wayofuna izinkambi zokuqeqeshwa ngokuTambo sithi ugeneral wayesikhomanda emazweni nasekhaya.
Mandla wethu thanks Comrade Mafika, and thank you to your 3 minutes. Comrade, I've been given a task, a simpler one, to introduce the guest. But Uhlalo have touched base that over the weekend we had an alliance meeting in the eThekwini region with all the alliance partners. Now we were about to start the meeting and we had about 6 topics on discussion documents. We were given as the ANC a topic to unpack the GNU. Now, when I was going to a podium, a young memeza ngala ACCP ithi sanithola namhlanje. Sizoyibuza kahle le GNU yenu ukuthi iphuma phi ibhekephi. Then when I go to a podium and I said, no, let me just build a little bit of strength. Mangifika ngithi no. Because these comrades, bazoza on all sides, and they want to deal with us. And I don't know how one said, hey, before you start unpacking, just deliver them one quote. And we delivered the quote of Amika Kalpral, if comrade remember, and we said, hey, tell no lies. When there are lies, you must expose them. Before we started unpacking that topic. When we have dealt with that and when we're going on with the topic, trying to match the similarities between our constitution, our founding document, our adopted document, to what we have said to a GNU, there seems to be similarities throughout. And we said, what are you fighting for? Because you adopted this, you were part of our conferences, why now? That's what we have asked them. We said, why now? And they said, no. We're not disagreeing with the GNU, but we are not consulted. Then we said, no, comrade, it's very simple. We are apologizing for not consulting you, but we still got a task to go and engage you on the ground and go and tell all the members and unpack this to all the members. And we all agree. And part of the resolution of that Alliance Summit was that Hlalo will be going on the ground to go and further unpack the statement of intent on the GNU. So, comrade, let me start with my task. As I've said that I've been given a simple task. I can imagine Uhlalo writing this speech as practice. And this is where I'll be saying my punching word. Thank you, Uhlalo, on your good speech. Comrade, before I introduce anyone, it will be important that, let me start with introducing Umpemba, Untuli, Ubegi, Unobhala waseThekwini, lo landelo yimina. No, you gave me this privilege of introducing others because when was the time, then you gave me a space to contest. Thank you. We've got members of the NEC comrade here. Monile comrade Matikizela is with us here. Comrade Andile Lungisa, president, is with us here from the NEC comrade. There's comrade Mayor NEC, angazi ngiqala ngakuphi. Comrade Silixaba is with us here, comrade. We've got Professor Xulu with us here. Baningi professor. I saw Professor Lushaba as well here with us. Professor Shaba, you inspired our provincial secretary. Saying ngimone naye eshinwele ngibona ukuthi hayi shuthi uyayibona lento uthi ithathwa la enweleni. Comrade, with us here we've got President of the SANCO. I saw him here. The convener of deployees in eThekwini, Mthandeni Dlungwane. There is a blessing of Lituli family here. There's also a blessing of Dube family here. Dube lapha ngakithi eNanda. Uma senifuna ukungiphuca lento ngizonikhumbuza ukuthi yangasekhaya lento le ANC. I saw comrade former DCM Derek Naidu and comrade Ravi. You know, comrade, without wasting more time, comrade, I learned something from Derek Naidu. One person that can have 10 meetings in 1 minute. That's what I learned from him, comrade. There is a veterans league led by Babul Tuli. Women's League, Albertina Sisolo. We were engaged very harshly by the Women's League when we were saying this is a or Tambo man, but then they said to us, hey Nina, you think it's only men that who was in the struggling. What about Albertina? They remind us that, comrades. Comrade Sonjika and Hlakanipho. History of no blank page. Yeah, there is nothing more that I can say. Those who remember history will know. There is also a leadership of leagues, comrade, who are also with us, comrade. A new comrade, I must introduce all of you, comrade. You are wonderful tonight, comrade. Thank you.
Manje yahlupha lento ukuthi uthi unikezwe amandla bese ubolekisa ngawo. Msuthu bengayi-introducela nje abantu. Manje ufika la uyakurobha Msuthu. Uya-address. Manje kube ngugwede bengizothi umcimbi wami lo. Manje ma-introducer ubeka kahle Msuthu. One thing that though we must contest, not contest, but put it into perspective as the ANC. The Communist Party was consulted on the GNU. And their view was do everything that you can but defend the state power. Now abantu bayihlupha iyabahlula lento consultation. Bacanti ma umconsultile umuntu uthatha yonke into ayishoyo. Uconsult umuntu mawuthi do everything, we do everything. Unkosikazi wakho mawuxoxa naye ngokuthi uzogqoka kanjani athi smart casual. Uthatha ibhluke, ugqoka ishirt, ugqoke kodwa akakwazi umanene ukuthi kimi ngoba uthayi ngawufakile athi I'm not formal enough. The party was fully consulted, Msutu. But thanks for those words of welcoming us. I just want to run quickly and check whether we do have the representatives, formerly the SACP and COSATU. Sizo, I wasn't really the party. I wasn't. I have not seen any indication. Oh, how, yeah. Ngizoxoxwa khona lisho unobhala. Okay. I ngiyaxolisa nobhala. Aw. Let's acknowledge the delegation yeparty Msuthu. So shaywa la. Ilidwa unobhala wamakomanisi ubaba uThemba Mthembu. Siyaxolisa Mvelasi. I think iCOSATU kodwa ke in terms of the protocol ngoba iprotocol isikhona mina ngiyayazi ngisemncane ingivumela ukuthi ngibize iSANCO cela ukuthi si wamkele umengameli weSANCO ngegwijo bahlali mengameli. Yenza. Five minutes, President.
Amandla. Ngiyabonga mphathi hlelo. Umthetho wami bekufanele ngivele ngithi bingelela yonke le leadership ekade ithulwa la. Kodwa ke iprotocol ithi acknowledge ama alliance leaders ala emhlanganweni kule memorial lecture. NEC members of the African National Congress, provincial leadership led by Umkhaya Siboniso Duma, bingeleli leadership yeSANCO ngibone leyo region eholo comrade Thokozani Mhlongo sihlalo we region. Bingelele SACP led by Comrade Mvelasi, Provincial Secretary SACP. Bengisengibingelele leadership yeCOSATU ekhona la nama leagues sonke comrade sengibingelela nami nani la. I'm not going to talk about history. Comrade OR. Because usihlalo zowenza lo. Kodwa uzoshaya sengathi ke usuyizwile ukuthi itheni ihistory yakhona. Comrade Chairperson, thank you for the invitation.
from the African National Congress. As SANCO, we firstly would like to extend our gratitude, comrades, and congratulations to ANC for making time to celebrate the longest serving president of the glorious movement, our glorious movement. It is indeed humbling to stand before you today on behalf of SANCO to share our message of support and pay homage to this true revolutionary. No doubt, Comrade Chairperson, that O.R. Tambo is one of the finest revolutionaries that our movement has ever produced, as we will explain. A committed, fearless revolutionary devoted to the struggle, steadfastly spearheading it regardless of consequences, which were mostly to pay the ultimate price of death. It will be remiss of us to talk about this cadre and revolutionary without reminding comrades about his commitment to the unity of the organization in pursuit of the struggle. Ingako siyiSANCO sithi unity siyifuna ngenkani. Because ayiqhamukanga nathi, ayiqhamuka nalama stalwarts. The content and the context of his famously quoted words about the wage drivers and closing of the ranks unity siyayazi kahle. Now, comrades, as I said, as SANCO we are saying, for the sake of all contributions by our gallant fighters, the fighter O.R. Tambo, we are saying, comrades, freedom and power bring responsibility. The responsibility rests upon us, a sovereign body representing the sovereign people of South Africa. Before the birth of freedom, comrades, we enjoyed all the pains of labor, and our hearts are heavy with the memory of this sorrow. Some of the pains continue even now. Nevertheless, the past is over, and it is the future that beckons to us now. O.R. Tambo played his role. It's now upon us to play our role, comrades. That future is not one of ease, of resting, but of incessant striving, so that we may fulfill the pledges we have so often, comrades, taken, and the one we take today. We are committing ourselves today. The service of South Africa means the service of the millions who suffer. It means the ending of poverty and ignorance and disease, including inequality of opportunity. The ambition of Tata Tambo, comrades, was to wipe every tear from every eye. That remains our task. So long as our people suffer, our revolutionary task will not be over. So, comrades, we have to labor and work hard to give reality to our people's dreams. Those dreams, comrades, are for South Africa, but they are also for the world. Peace has been said to be indivisible. So is freedom. So is prosperity now. To the people of South Africa, comrades, whose representatives you are, to make an appeal for the sake of Baba Tambo, to join us with faith and confidence in this great adventure. There is no time, comrades, for petty and destructive criticism. No time for ill will or blaming others. It's no time, comrades. We have appealed long ago before elections at SANCO that let us not go for public spect, criticize each other. Ngoba kucatshanga ukuthi hayi baxabene ngempela naba beshayana public. We must stop that, comrades. Now, lastly, I sit in National Council Alliance National Council, Political Council, comrades. I'm talking about GNU, which I was part when in the discussion. We were supposed to start at 2, we started at 4. We were supposed to spend 1 hour, we spent many hours, we finished at 9. Because we had to convince each other. We did convince each other, comrades. The reason we concluded on this, I'm saying we as an alliance. It was clear, comrades. The president and SG took us through on what happened. They did prioritize other formations, big ones. EFF comrades yathi ayikwazi nje ukuba kwe-GNU nathi because yona i-honest yacampaign ukuthi asife. I-ANC ayiphele ikhampenela lokho. Ngeke ukuthi mase kudlula ukhetho i-ANC ihluliwe ungalwinanga ukhetho iphinde ivuse yona. Angeke uyibone lo nto. Yaphela kanjalo ke lo nto angifuni ukulanda comrades. MKP comrades. We met with MKP. Meeting yokuqala nje meeting comrades. Yathi akuphume khiphana upresident wenu niqedile. Siya kwi-GNU. Sathi ayikuphelile meeting. Ewesibili yathi asisula amacala. Sathi asone ujustice. So waphela kanjalo ke comrades. Sesakhuzana ke comrades ukuthi si alliance asithembane nje. Sithembane nje comrades. Ukuthembana nje kuzosenza siwine sivusele organization iphinde lead ngoba iyona kufanele lead ama material conditions avumela yona. Thank you very much.
Siyabonga bekabeli. Asawuphuca umbhobho kwaZulu Natal. Sukuma kuphela. Ngaphandle kokuchitha isikhathi asamkeleni estage unobhala wamakomanisi ubaba uThemba Mthembu. Ngicela simsukumise ngegujwe. Sisenza lokho acknowledge ukufika kwe-PC member uMambali. Zabantu akunamuntu umhlaba wonke esandleni akunamuntu
Bonge.
ithuba umphathi wohlelo. Uyazi ukuthi ngizothini. Sibonge ke noma siqale sibingelele nje bonke ubuholi obukhona. Ubuholi buka African National Congress buholwa uhlalo Thombeni. Ubuholi buka COSATU. Ubuholi beSANCO. Ubuholi umongameli. Ubuholi bazo zonke inhlaka ethe azibe khona la namhlanje nabakahulumeni. Ngeke ngithathe isikhathi sakhe eside. Futhi I won't be tempted to respond kwezinye izinto. Yebo angifuni ukuphinde singene empini yegiye. Yebo hayi angifuni yabona uma uzolalela ilecture kaTambo. You must be focused, disciplined. Yabo. That's why ngikhulumile naye uhlalo ngathi hayi ngizomtshela udokotela befa ngi-admit procedure ngathi cha dokotela ukahle angikwazi ungayilaleli i-lecture ka-OR Tambo. The only thing umuntu azoyibeka that's why umuntu ezile la ukuthi uma singase sibe njengoTambo, we won't be where we are. Ngizosho lokho nje ngibonge ukuthi mina sengilindele ilecture. Thank you.
Manje ke usemela akufani nobaba uMvelase lokho. Unobhala weTheku uDP uComrade uAndile. We also acknowledge uWhip we-ANC umama uHlengiwe. We have already introduced ubaba uFraser umama uFraser. Ngiyaxolisa mhlawumbe sihlalo for about 5 minutes ngaphambi kokuba ungene ngikhuleke nje kuwe ukuthi ke phela mase khona ikomkhulu akakwazi yedwa ungabingeleli kubo kokomkhulu mhlambe asicele for 5 minutes uDP ukuthi abingelele ngaphambi kokuba usihlalo azothula ilecture. Comrade Andile Lungisi, you can come and treat the audience.
Amandla. No, thank you very much, Program Director, Comrade Mafika. I'm part of the historians in the movement. If I respect history and the protocol, I won't be able to speak. I won't be able to deliver any message because the memorial lecture, the chairperson is ready to deliver the memorial lecture about the life and times of OR Tambo. Chair, the platform is yours. Thank you very much.
Mandla, you may be seated. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Comrade Ngwane. Already you've done a sterling job. I must commend you, irrespective of the material condition, because you've been tested at the same time. In our MIS program director, we've got PC members. You've already acknowledged them. But hence suffice to say that we've been graced by the presence of NEC members. Nkosi, Msuthu Nguchana, Comrade Umbanjwa Kabethwa, who has already been here in this platform. We acknowledge your presence, leadership. It's an honor as well that we are able to grace our shows tonight. In our midst already, we've highlighted that we've got the families of our stalwarts, in particular the Mandlanduna, the Lutuli family, the Dube family have graced our shows. A lot of leadership have been highlighted as well. We've got the religious sector led by the Bishop Dube, the clergy, the fivefold ministers also present in our midst tonight. Thank you so much for gracing our shows, even for giving us that prayer, ushering it to a strategic in our midst. We've got the Alliance leadership. Comrade Kabatela, siyabonga kakhulu, Velase Mniswe Mvula, even for what you have articulated, because it represents the epitome of what would have been done in those years. We are glad that you have to sacrifice your time today with the doctor. We don't take it lightly. Thank you so much, Comrade President, Comrade Mkungo, the President of SANCO as well, for ensuring that you come. There were a lot of options, and we are glad that the Alliance had to talk. Ordinarily, in the lecture, we don't give the process of the remarks or the message of support, but for this one, it was critical. Thank you, the chair of eThekwini, Comrade Kasompis. Thank you, Msuthu, the secretary, and the entire collective. The PC members have been already acknowledged. Tonight, it is critical that when you have the grace, the strict presence of certain comrades must be acknowledged. Comrade Ravi Pillay has already been mentioned. Comrade Derek Knight, the former guerrilla from Konto Wesizwe. Comrade Sani, who's our senior as well tonight, is also present. I think it is always critical that, let us give them a huge round of applause, comrades. The entire lecture that is going to be ushered tonight, comrade, to greet all the comrades, revolutionary greeting, who are always here. We extend our deepest revolutionary greetings to comrades and members of the public who are following this important event in various social media platforms and the mainstream media, comrade. We're here to reflect on life and times of President OR Tambo, who fought the system, comrade, and I'm sure we all understand, relentlessly so. And amongst us, the current membership in the epoch, he is the giant, the gigantic figure who expressed himself in a galactic proportions. No one could match his stride. So, which is why that we only qualify through political grace, comrade. So I think we must just mention. There is a quote that is popular. I'm just going to start. Entice your palate using it, comrade, tonight. It was delivered in Angola in 1977. Comrades, you might think that it is very difficult to wage a liberation struggle. Wait until you are in power. I might be dead by then. At that stage, you will realize that it is actually more difficult to keep the war, the power to wage a liberation war. People will be expecting a lot of services from you. You'll have to satisfy the various demands of the masses of our people. In the process, be prepared to learn from other people's revolution. Learn from the enemy also. The enemy is not necessarily doing everything wrongly. You may take his right tactics and use them to your advantage. At the same time, avoid repeating enemy's mistake. There are several ways of thinking about the constellation of factors, and I close quote of OR Tambo. I'm sure that I wanted to highlight this phase. And in our midst, we've got Professor Bonke Dumisa, who must be acknowledged correctly, who is the academia of note, comrade. He studied both economics and law. He's a legal practitioner. We are so proud that you are here in our midst tonight. In our midst, we've got Professor Musa Xulu, who's amongst our scholars, who has created Indonza Yesizwe. He's also amongst us tonight. I'm sure he also deserves a huge round of applause. In our midst, we've got Dr. Lwazi Lushaba Kachen, who also, thank you so much, he has been playing different roles, is currently abroad as a scholar as well, who's doing, amongst other things, as you might know. So I thought it is always critical that we must highlight them in that way, because what we are going to also present is imbued from O.R. Tambo, epilogy of even tapping from the scholars, the academia. It is not just something that must be tapped almost on a regular basis, because the ANC currently is under the scrutiny of renewal. Preferred by many, both in academic and journalistic writings, for its tendency to license lazy superficial thinking, is the idea of the ANC as being in crisis. Admittedly, this characterization does well to appeal to a media manufactured post-94 South African collective political psyche. I'm just going to be emphatic on the issue of colonial and post-colonial, where we just represent our processes. I'm also going to highlight, amongst other things, the fundamentals that, in spite of African National Congress decline and political setback on the May 29, the idea of liberation has not been defeated. So the path towards the NDR continues, Makaban. We are going to proceed with the journey. It's not going to be easy, but we are going to address even the imbalances. It is widespread appeal, comrades, that we must also highlight that tonight, that what, for instance, are the historical factors, structural conditions, and ideological constraints which together render the complexity that it's a real present and inevitable. And I will want tonight just to present, juxtapose what ought to be done, as Lenin will say, and in the true spirit of O.R. Tambo, what is currently expected of us. Kabatela might have said it lightly, that in fact, if you could just wake up day to day and you want to be like Oliver Reginald Tambo, we will then leave the proper footprint, and the ANC will be better organization. It is widespread appeal, notwithstanding it remains unhelpful to thought, progressive revolutionary thought that we must highlight. The reason being that it elites a priori fundamental questions that ought to be posed and answered first. If it was amorphously termed, the crisis is to be intelligible and thus possible to resolve. Crafting an answer on this question already posed, comrade, which advances progressive democratic politics, demands an analysis which eschews the fatal methodological defect of positing empirical markers of the problem, the current crisis we face. That is of corruption, poor quality of social services, factionalism, as the cause of explanation variables on the same problem. I'm sure we must just highlight those issues, comrade. However, what is indisputable is that since the attainment of independence in 1994, the existential life of the ANC, both as a national liberation movement and a manager of post-colonial South African state, manager in that context that you will understand, comrade, has been defined by an unceasing accumulation and fetishization of negative developments. There is abnegation of the revolutionary ethic and political morality, unfavorable conditions. There is one, increased dominance and embrace of the immiserating neoliberal economic logic. The current scenario of what ought to be done was once again the ANC, after the new dispensation, to take a new shape, both a liberation movement, then a ruling party, and there were already contradictions if you think about that. It is we contend precisely this continued accumulation and worsening negative development and conditions that marks the ANC present objective historical moment. That is why the clarion call by President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa for the renewal of the organization must be read as a directive, umlimandlela or umkhombandlela, towards a kind of politics that conscientiously intervenes in the continued progression of the ANC present objective historical moment. An objective historical moment which basically is nothing but a constellation of negative developments. The abiding mission for such politics, of course, cannot be abruptly stopped, the progression of this negation history, but to create a contradiction that will be determined of the trajectory ANC settles for in-forward movement. To be sure, comrade, failure to instigate or provoke a kind of politics within the ANC, politics that have a decisively progressive, popular, democratic content, will not spell an end to history as such, but rather an end of the ANC in history. Put it simply or differently, since there is no end to history, the ANC in other contexts will proceed without, or the history will proceed without the ANC. The ANC, there is no gainsaying that it must change, adapt to current material condition, which is why we talk robustly about the politics of renewal. We are not just going to proceed in a horizon or in a trajectory as if things are normal. If we want to see change, therefore our object in the present piece is to provoke a debate within the movement about the necessity as well as suggest a tentative outline of the nature and direction the politics of renewal ought to take. More categorical, comrades, what the analysis below advocate is a return to politics within the ANC, or the ANC return to politics, progressive, popular, democratic politics rooted amongst the people. Kumele sibonakale emagatsheni ukuthi ikhona behavioral changes, ikhona into eyenzekile esenza sicabange kangcono. There is something that is tangible amongst us, even in the character portraits that we want to be defined, definite analysis amongst the people. We want to change. What is being argued for here is not an idealistic or utopian proposition, Comrade Mbanjwa, good only as a rhetoric device. Neither is it an empiricist or technocratic policy model or program which tabulated recommendations, but it's a fundamental and iconic things that must be done by the ANC. Instead, it is coming together of thoughts and praxis into a kind of political practice that will have to commence its life within the organization as a tendency, full conscious of other contradictory tendencies with which it will have to initiate antagonistic relations. It's unfortunate that if you don't adapt to this kind of change, you must be left behind. Unfortunately, at some point in time, there are sacrifices that must be taken, which is why the ANC currently will want to dismantle every proportion of us not understanding the realistic values of the ANC. Ethically, we must behave like Tambo. Fundamentally, we must live like Tambo. Even how we do things, we must be seen to be embracing almost every spirit of how O.L. Tambo would have lived today. Karl Marx argued, Comrade Mafiga, in the Communist Manifesto. I'm sure the SACP leadership will be excited that we are citing this quote today. It befits that we must highlight it. The executive of the modern state is nothing but a committee for managing the common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie. Is that a reality? Are we currently managing, or are we in the revolution doing something else? Have we been taken by the bourgeoisie? Are we still representing the epitome of why Comrade Solomon Mahlangu was hanged, of why Comrade Chris Hani was gunned down, was shot, of why O.R. Tambo was exiled, of why Madiba was imprisoned for 27 years? For the ANC to be set apart from the rest, such analytic systems should be used even when they enter the state or deployed in the system of government. For as long as no shift in how we lead the state in terms of transformational agenda, what Marx suggested above, will remain the reality, and ordinary people's life will not change, and the renewal project will not fade or will not even take place. The issue of job opportunities in the country, the issue of social construct, we ought to do something differently. We can't wait for the type of a private sector that is not amenable on the change. Things ought to happen. Things ought to be done. Otherwise, we are going to lose the hegemony and we are going to lose power as this gigantic movement of Olija Regional Tambo. We must be brave, comrade, like Mama Charlotte Maxege, comrade Sophia Dubrain, comrade who fought, comrade Victoria Mxenge, comrade, kasisutu bathi mohati atswara tsipa kabo halengi. Umuntu wesifazane indlela strong ngaye ummese ubamba lo bukhali ngakhona. We must also do such things, comrade. We must be giant, making sense of the ANC present objective and historical moment, comrade. The present, past, and the future is now in one concept. I'm sure, comrade, who are in the NEC also took a stride of what comrade Khalima Mhlante Umkhulu said, that we must understand a new understanding of life, that past, present, and future is one. What is happening in the past has influenced the present, and what is going to happen currently must influence and outgrown even our life. It means that the type of a legacy project, this ANC does not belong to us alone, comrade. Our generations, the next generations, the offsprings must also tap into this generation, must also tap in the ANC of Oliver Regional Tambo, comrade. Any endeavor to gain a proper handling on the longer history, comrade, the ANC must equally apprehend the nature of the colonial state, the former styled itself in opposition to, which is critical, I've already highlighted, as is now well known, comrade, alla Focati, the nature of power determines the nature of the opposition to it. However, more germane to us is a more fundamental qualitative change that occurs in the nature of the relationship as well as the character of the ANC. In the recent past of the period after independence in 1994, comrade, at surface level, it is obvious that the history of the ANC since independence, owing to its domination of state power, has unfolded, comrade. And we must understand that in together with the history of the post-colonial South African state. So it is intertwined that we have to become such that readable in the history and character of the post-colonial South African state is the recent history and character of the ANC and vice versa. I've already simplified this analogy, comrade, that the type of the ANC we will emulate and we have emulated or we have inherited must sustain the longevity, must also contain the hegemony on the ground. To untangle this welding together of the two histories, which is the ANC and the post-colonial South African state, and practices bureaucratic management of the state and political practice, the analysis deliberately steps out of the more common, well-rehearsed internalist or inward-looking intellectual rumination of the ANC present. In other words, comrade City, uma sizoqhubeka singene ku-3 spheres of government, sichazele ama-voters, sichazele our constituency, ukuthi ku-difficult kanjani ukudrive i-social transformation. Kuyofanele sazi ukuthi we are not revolutionaries, but we are subscribing to what Karl Marx said, that we are managing the affairs of the bourgeoisie. Are we that, or we are revolutionaries that are going to change the people's lives? The analysis extends the horizon beyond the internal ANC intellectual and policy debates to a much larger field or terrain of thoughts, comrades. More may be gained. We are convinced currently that in rereading the post-colonial reality of both the ANC and the post-colonial South African state, together with an intra-contradictions to the reality of other African nationalist movements and post-colonial African state. This is amongst other principles of the renewal that we must start and that we must do. To start with the post-colonial state in Africa emerges directly out of antagonistic encounter between the colonial state and anti-colonial movement, an alliance of various democratic movements organized into popular nationalist front. Thus, the post-colonial state is what remains at the end of a protracted encounter between these two forces, each zone obliterating the other ideological, organizationally, and institutionally. I'm sure academians are already alluding to this fact that not unless we do things differently, we are going to the state of the lull and contradictions are going to emerge and will be blamed because this is the only vehicle that people subscribe to and relied upon it, that we are going to change their lives. And it's a serious contrast that when they see us as leaders, lives changing, but not theirs, they then tend to renegade, then slowly rejecting us. And I've already highlighted, remember that we are facing an ideological superstructure. The media in particular is always perpetuating the ANC that is in crisis, the ANC that is not performing, the ANC that is not doing things in a correct way. Virtually everywhere in the colonial world, this encounter is marked by skewed relations of power in favor of the colonial state, which is nothing but a local expression of the racialized metropolitan bourgeoisie power. I'm avoiding deliberate, comrade, to talk about the contradictions that is currently taking place in the country because I think we are more sophisticated than the current framework of GNU, than GPU. The strongest ANC will be given power very soon if we're to strictly adhere to all these principles. If we're to change all of our behavioral patterns, people are just going to back us. Backed by military, economic, ideological, epistemological, and political might of the imperious West, the colonial state as a result retains or monopolizes initiatives throughout the encounter. Tellingly, the significance of these unequal power relations is best underlined by the fact that the colonial state monopolizes the power to initiate reform, often with one end goal: to preserve its interest and dominance. The import here is that the post-colonial state in Africa is from ab initio a compromise beyond by the encounter between two opposing forces, unable to decimate each other, unequal powers relations between them. I'm sure we also agree when it comes to this principle, and it is something that we must defeat. So that the point is not lost to us as the ANC comrade, just as this had been the reality of newly independent post-colonial African state in the 1960s. It is similar, was and remains the reality of the post-colonial South Africa state since its inception in the 1994. Nothing in history and thought suggests that South Africa is an exception. And if we really love the legacy of Oliver Reginald Tambo, we ought to do things differently. Neither is there anything revolutionary or novel about the post-94 South African state. It is like other post-colonial African states, both an outcome and embodiment of a compromise, political, ideological, economic, and cultural compromise. One notable difference, comrade, is that during the first wave of the independence in the 1960s and the second wave in the mid-70s to early 80s, perhaps to a lesser extent, international economic order tolerates a semblance of ideological plurality, which is something that is well understood by comrades. Consequently, if the early post-colonial African states are able to, instance, to experiment within a state-led model of a development infused with a strong social democratic content without incurring the wrath of the capitalistic West, by 1994, when South Africa gains independence, that possibility had long been precluded by the triumphant neoliberal order. To put it simply, comrade, ngenkathi sithatha state, relative Uyasho President, former President Tambo is saying that he went into the office as the deputy president. There was nothing, not even a clean paper. It means that we had to dismantle the ready-made machinery and start afresh. The last vessel that we have in the country was sold to the Lord of London in 1991. The banking system has been destroyed. We are starting afresh that process, and people who are to combat Oliver Reginald Tambo said, at that particular time, people will be expecting a lot from you, in particular service delivery. You'll be blamed for the sins of the incumbents. You'll be blamed by the apartheid hegemony. You'll be blamed by superstructure, whether legal system, whether media, whether type of education. To attempt a metaphor, comrade, the post-colonial South Africa state is birthed into an asphyxiating economic ideological cul-de-sac. In an essay conceived with the politics of renewal, what lesson does this hold for comrade concerned with the politics of renewal within the ANC? The lesson is to be argued that the true meanings and aspirations that the interrelated concept of liberation and emancipation evokes amongst the people far exceeded what 1994 symbolizes or renders possible, reclaiming the right to reimagine not for but together with the popular masses the meanings of freedom and emancipation away from the domain of thought and political practice carved out to be, we argue, one of the primary tasks in the pursuit of the politics of the renewal. I'm sure, comrade, we have already debunked the myth that the current trajectory and the current scenario is going to allow us to change the scenario or to change the environment. We still have to fight. The revolution in the form of NDR will not be attained by a tamed ANC. A new type of a branch, an activist branch, must do things differently. If we're still going to expect media, opposition people to identify a pothole or to identify tap that is running day and night with the municipal water, and if we don't do such a thing and report it on time, then people are going to lose the credence and the trust in us. They will then look somewhere. They will then look elsewhere. But if we build stronger branches, I know if we really aspire to be like Oliver Reginald Tambo, you could even sacrifice that I'm not going to allow the membership of the ANC branch to be bulk deposit, to be bulk buy, because I want to be elected. If it means that I must not be in the process, so be it. I want to be a selfless member of the ANC, as long as the ANC is going to live, as long as the ANC is going to survive, comrades. The outcome of the liberation struggle for this cadre could not be a foregone conclusion. KZN South Africa, which in essence is an institutional expression of the compromise, is heralded by a reformation of the popular nationalist movement and its ideology of progressive popular nationalism into a bureaucratized state-centered movement with a state nationalism and its new ideological compass. I'm going to fast track towards the end, comrades, but these are the juicy details that you just wanted to highlight tonight, so that people could still think, the thought must still permeate that the ANC, in terms of praxis, remain the center that is going to deliver the national democratic revolution. One day, we'll have a national democratic society because of the current generation that is going to do things differently, comrades. Only until a disbelieving post-colonial political elite discovers that it is now bereft of a mutual affirming political language which to hold a conversation with the people, has lost the moral, intellectual leadership of society, lacks the political ethic, legitimacy, and revolutionary morality required to hold the post-colonial social contract in place. In fast-tracking, comrade, the process, certainly to speak in the name of the state, authorized by legal national authority, is conflicted with speaking in the name of the people. backed by popular will. Consequently, the post-colonial African state elevates itself into a sole legitimate expression of politics, including the process. Amongst other things, comrade, that would have make things differently if we try already fast forward that let us, of course, we assume or imagine into existence an economic, social, cultural, political, historical, dialectical movement forward devoid of the contradictions or referred as to utopia as comrade usually known. Then there are three issues that one is going to highlight. One, if colonial power's ultimate object in reforming the nationalist movement by rendering its political agenda identical, if not articulable with the agenda of the post-colonial state, is to preserve colonial interest, rooted amongst the people, structured and functioning autonomously of the state in order to create a contradiction necessary for a dialectical movement forward. One comrade is harnessing the spirit which is imbued in us, understanding that we ought to do some things. The ANC must live as a liberation organization. There is still that need, and the ANC currently must lead within this ambiguity of us being in power, but not fully power, because you understand the dynamics, comrade. In conclusion, comrade, exactly 34 years ago, about 2,244 delegates gathered for ANC 48 National Conference, few kilometers away from here. They clapped their hands and saluted the giant of our struggling. In fact, it is hard to imagine that a humble rural boy will rise to such unparalleled greatness, transcending the barriers of race, color, creed, and religion. Oliver Reginald Tambo lived through these principles. The Red Army Revolution of Russia between 1990, lived Second World War, also Cuban Revolution, the Civil Rights Movement, the Cultural Revolution of China in 1996. He went on to surrender his very being to the people of this country and pioneered our very own struggle for freedom. I close with this quote, comrade. We did not tear ourselves apart at times for a lack of progress. We're always ready to accept our mistakes and correct them. Above all, we succeeded to foster and defend our unity, even in bleak moments. We're never in doubt that our people's cause shall triumph, close quotes. Comrades and compatriots, our lesson from Tambo's leadership is that through collective wisdom, we can withstand any challenge. Amandla! Thank you so much, Program Direct. Ilete. Tambo, oh, iwelele mas. Tambo, oh, iwelele mas. Oh, basekufikilete. Sekuzokhala pasuka. Sekufikile sekuzokhala pasuka. Iyawo iwelelema sekuzokhala pasuka. Iyawo iwelelema sekuzokhala. Fikile
sekuzokhalipha suka iwelele. Iyawo iwelelima sekuzokhalipha suka siwele. Sekufikile thina bafana bomkho sekuzokhalipha suka siwele. Awu sekufikile thina bafana bomkho sekuzokhalipha suka iwele. Tambo iyawo iwelelima sekuzokhalipha suka iwele. Iyawo iwelelima sekuzokhalipha suka. Awu sekufikile thina bafana bomkho sekuzokhalipha suka siwele. Sekufikile thina bafana bomkho sekuzokhalipha suka siwele. Tambo oh iyelelema iphasuka. Tambo oh iyelelema sekuzokhalipha suka siwele. Awu sekufikile thina bafana bomkho sekuzokhalipha suka iwelele. Awu sekufikile thina bafana bomkho sekuzokhalipha. Amandla! Amandla! Viva ANC, 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 viva! Viva President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, viva! Viva Siboniso Duma, the talented, charming politician by nature, viva! Amandla! Away, down with reactionary forces, down! Viva the legacy of O.R. Tambo, the icon of the struggle, viva! Amandla! Comrade Sihlalo, umebhala uChe Guevara with Socialism and Man uthi babumvelase le ndlela yinde futhi inezingqinamba. This road is long and full of difficulties. At times, we move too fast and leave the masses of our people behind. At times, we move too slow. Bese sizwa ukuphefumula kwabo besiphefumulela la endleleni. At all the time, we must seek to move along with the masses of our people. The chairperson of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal have just delivered that message. Well written, well narrated, uthi, let us conscientize our people and move along with them. Kodwa Sihlalo ngabe ngiyadelela uma lama remarks akho ngibolekiwe nje podium ungayimi engiwabongayo. Ngisase ingane. Ngoba ngeke ngisaphakama. Ngizocela nje Sihlalo ngemvumo yakho for 2 minutes ukuthi basibongele. Sibongela amasotsha omkhonto wesizwe. Hayi umkhonto wesisu somunye umnumzana. Amasotsha omkhonto wesizwe kube yiwo nje asibongelayo ngoba lenkulumo ayingangabafana ifuna abantu abadala. Ngize ngayisola Sihlalo ngoba ke usizo umngani wami ukuthi angimthengelanga ngani ithukhwaya ayibhale phansi lezi ndaba azokwazi ukudila nazo. Kodwa ke ngaphambi kokuba ngikubize babamadlanduna kunephutha elincane ngilenzile baba ulungisa angilungise mhlambe sengithola ama WhatsApp message abheke ko30 ngithe u Deputy President cha waye u Deputy President we Youth Click ngeyikhathi zethu akasi u Deputy President we ANC u Deputy President we Youth League. Siphinde acknowledge ubaba uNonkosi. Baba uNonkosi akasiye nje kuphela imayor yaseThekwini kodwa uyilunga leNEC. Kodwa kimi ke uphinda ubhuti omdala. Ubhuti abadala nje abasikhulisayo lamahlangana kupolitiki babanika idirection. Ubhuti omdala acknowledge nonobhala weANC emzala Nxumalo. Ngaphandle ke kokuchitha isikhathi babamadlanduna useza ngaphambili ngizocela ke ngoba ngeke ngisabuya mase kukhuluma umuntu omdala lamatafula ahleli la ngaphambili sizocela siphume singapha ubaba uMthombeni uthe asidlini then lamanye sizophuma singene kule site ngala ngaphambili sothi la eduzane abanye singenele ngale sikwazi ukuthi sidle kodwa ke ngeke ngihlale nginganibongi for two things. Nibahle nigqoke kahle niphathe kahle bese ke ngoba ngiyazi ukuthi mina ngimuhle kakhulu ngiwonisha abantu besifazana ukuthi umanene ukhona cha sengithathiwe so mawusase nesifiso nje sokuthola a tall dark and handsome husband hayi isithathiwe le yimi bamadaduna siyabonga.
Viva ANC, viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva SANCO, viva! Viva ANC Women's League, viva! Viva ANC Veterans League, viva! Viva ANC Youth League, viva! Viva nonke enkhona la, viva! Long live the spirit of OR Tambo, long live! Mphathi wohlelo sihlalo abantu abadala bathi bezwile asizobonga ukuthi usinikeza ithemba masibuka nje labantu abalanje bethi umphathi wohlelo ethi bahle impela siyayibuza nje ukuthi ngomhla ka29 kaMeyi babe laphi bonke labantu laba sinethemba ukuthi inkulumo yakhe imfundiso yakho sihlalo ingenile kuthina sonke sophindele amabranchini silekelele amabranch avuswe sikhohle indaba zama positions ngoba yiwo lapho la inhlangano bengabe singeza lokho sithathe lenkulumo namhlanje sifane noThambo ngoba uThambo wayelida ngeexample uThambo umuntu owayelalela wonke umuntu uThambo wayengenako ukuyithwala ukuthi yena upresident kaANC ngiyakhumbula one day uThambo efika le South Africa kwakushone abantu abaningi lapha eMgababa ngakithi uThambo waphuma airport wayemgababa etshengisa ubuholi yilobo buholi esibudingayo ngoba kubekwa komunye umholi wayezodaya sobuye soyibheka le ndaba semgababa yilobo buholi kade usihlalo usifundisa ngabo namhlanje esinethemba ukuthi bonke abantu abala bazoyile sihlalo abantu bakho labo from now on siyothanda ukubuka lama lectures eqhubeka as we are going on with the reburial process of our heroes sifuna ukwabona wonke indawo lama lectures njengalawa ukuvuselela bonke abantu base South Africa ukuthi ANC iyaphila iANC isazobusa iANC ngeke iphele iANC njengoba sithi indlela yinde indlela yikho abanye besale emaceleni bephuma nento zabo sebedidekile abanye ababekade bekhona kuANC yibona sebekhomba iANC ngezica ezithize nalaba abanye ke futhi asebekhuluma ngo GNU o GPO uyayibuza ke nabo babekuphi ngemhla ka29 sihluliwe asiqale phansi sosebenza iANC izovuka iANC iphethe iANC yona isazophatha hayi ke bekuthiwa nginibonge kahle thini bahle kakhulu niphathe kahle nonke nihambe kahle endleleni when you go home you must think about the ANC you must dream the ANC you must spread the word about the ANC iANC iyaphila long live the spirit of Ora Tambo long live
Mondli Ngobo is in the house. Over to you. Entertainment. Ungangena baba. Asithi sidla sibe vumela ubaba uMondli on the stage. Table by table.
Don't worry about a thing. Since everything is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Since everything is gonna be alright. Woke up this morning, raising the rising sun. Three little birds on my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melody so sweet. They say, this is my message to you. So don't worry about a thing. Since everything is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. Since everything is gonna be alright. Three little birds, oh my God, singing sweet song, melody so sweet and this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing. Since everything is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing. So that you get what you need to be alright. Somebody, yo, 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 yo. One love, one heart, let's stand together. Since one love, one heart, let's keep things together, and I will be alright. Hingabupi, wesana san, kuyawa, dapeka, obudani, wekaniwa, oh, tola. Hingabupi, wesana san, kuyawa, City angisaba sinokula kuyabanda nothonga buko Ungabuza ngomani ngiyaziwa mina ukuthi ngiyakodola njalo. Ngiyakodola mama. Yebo ngiyakodola mama. Ungabuza nisho mama wangu uyazi ukuthi mina ngiyakodola. Ngiyakodola kodola. Ngiyakodola mama. Kaze ngaba yini mangishiye kongo masingisakodola. Sinakodola kodola mama. Sithi bonkela abaselu tongati bonkela my folks selling God in the morning every day bonkela my spaghetti pressure si velo si ti bonkela mandu habasilu tongati bonkela my folks send out in the morning every day bonkela mandu oh my spaghetti pressure si velo engañé esa vida morti della esa pompe You know, big we Israel. I go say, I got a long and one. Say, City watches over me. City watches over me. So I walk to the valley of the shadow of death. I shall fear nothing. I shall fear nothing.